Canada, ay, 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 DUMO, na super, ay, ay,
Kingama Kalabari, Simbobolam, Mongbawa Simanga, Ane, Palacio Event Center, opposite Beverly Hills, GRA, Port Harcourt. One no alabo DUMO LULU BRIGGS or Cobri me and are me Cobri me in Canisiari an evening with DUMO LULU BRIGGS. Me Cobri mane Minapuna, Alapuna, Odukamenja Puna Belemapuna, in Ingbabu Cobrite, River State, on cinema, and Yania Miji Seme Menji Trokomuabo, Equen, Animo Cobrite, Dugo Aboye, Piki Oina, Fina, Buna Buluma. Ane wa imbo eko maboye minapo wa piki menjite bumba botebo omnam mina imadugo abwapma na ekwen ba mi ekwen menyanate bebebe wa indugo imekebo omna troko kroma ba nitime ko na dia ko Kalabari TV ere prie iala omiete
ogote wana se ani gbe magbolate Kalabari wa sake ni bi opombo foro wa bene sake membe no bakama opakabote Opakabote Kalabari berebo. One in Bawa Bra so Bolomata Braswate. One in Brewe or Ekbekoda or Sukumatrokomu. And then why not succeed with Abra?
We're actually not politicking because it's not time for campaigns yet. But our friend Chief DUMO LULU BRIGGS has come up with an idea whose time I think has come about the We agenda. So we put this together, a group of friends put it together so he can explain to us what exactly is We agenda, and that's what is going on today. We were made to understand here that the We agenda is that politics has to cease from being a personal matter to something that is people-oriented. So the We agenda is about we, all of us have to put our hands together and change this government, and elect a government, and get a government that is we-friendly, and that's what it's about. So we are going to get involved this time and change the narrative. And that's what we are here to do, to let people know that you matter. Go and get registered, get your PVC. On election day, go vote. Make sure your votes count. It will be transmitted live to the national database, and thereafter you can leave the polling booth. But this time around, our actions are important. Our votes are important. Our votes will count. We matter. We must change and decide what happens. Those days of charlatans telling us what will happen is over. We want to take over and decide for ourselves who governs us and who does not.
Bass or Inewa. In fact, Rivers people stop getting rid of the most powerful words you heard from Orilim so all to be Belan Rabitumbo. Party could have also striking words you heard from the guy. Make sure you do a picture. They say that Medestin Messi in the We agenda. Say something. And to believe the boom. You can do that. The We agenda, but party could have also. All parties some of the boss of prayer. Take care of that. Yes, to move in you and please do that.
In terms of capacity, DUMO is one of the few Niger Delta young men that is full of wisdom, full of knowledge, is well informed, and he's a successful businessman. If you know him very well, for you to drive a business like that to the level it is, shows that you have the capacity and you are somebody who is committed to do whatever you want to do. I think people like DUMO are the kind of persons who can wear that shoe, because I don't think if you don't have that kind of capacity, that competence, that watches, please don't come.
What I want to do today is to build, and I'm very hopeful that we will be able to achieve that, is to build a factory of dreams in the hearts of all of us. To build a factory of dreams in the hearts of all of us. And see how we can bring that dream to bear. How we can make those dreams a reality. And so I pray that God will enlarge our vision. And I also pray that God shall invade our thinking with His peace. You know, elections are not about the persons whose names are on the ballot. We very often take it for granted, but elections are not about the persons whose names are on the ballot, the men and women whose names are on the ballot. Elections are about all of us. Elections are about those of us whose names shall appear on the ballot. But more importantly, about those persons whose mandate we seek. And there's always that disconnect between the electorate and the elected. There's that disconnect which we have to address. A lot of us do not understand that elections are about us, about we. So we're talking now about we, the people. What does the we agenda represent? We are saying that elections are about you. The we agenda is about you. We are saying that you matter. And we are saying that we have to put people first. And that is the responsibility of governments, is to put their people first. And whether we like it or not, persons shall be elected. Persons will be sworn in. And whether you have a hand in deciding those persons who are elected or not, they will be elected and they will take positions and take decisions that will affect your life on a day-to-day basis, at least for the next 4 years. That is why you have to understand that this is a collective, it's about you. It's about me. It's about all of us Rivers people. What's our vision for ourselves? Where would we want Rivers State to be? What are those dreams that we hold so very dear? And what sacrifices we are prepared to make? Because you have to make sacrifices. Even the promises of God don't come free. Even when God makes you a promise, you have to walk for that promise. So when God says He's going to give the people of Israel Canaan, yes, He's taken that Canaan is there, they must have Canaan. But they still have to go through the wilderness to get to Canaan. So He just tells you that whatever it is, some work has to be done. David, the young shepherd boy, was found deep in the forest, tending to cows. And then he was brought and crowned a king, but it took him years to assess it. At that time, he went through life experiences before he became king. So challenges are a part of human effort. Dreams are a must. We must have dreams. Our power to face challenges though we try to address these dreams. So it's important that we don't focus on the challenges, but we focus on the vision. So what's your vision for yourself? What's your vision for Rivers State? I'd like to first of all inform all of us that in 1999, when this new democratic effort was birthed in 1999, 2 states stood out. And everybody believed that those are the 2 states that would be tremendous successes. And those states were Lagos and Rivers. These 2 states were apart. in 1999. And you all will agree, once you have your airports and you have your seaports, the general thinking is that commerce will thrive in that of the environment. So Lagos had their seaports and their airports, international and local. Of course, here we also had our seaports and our airports, international and local. But additionally, in River State, we had the petrochemicals, we had NAFCON, and we had the refinery. And by military decree, all the multinational oil companies had their headquarters here in Port Harcourt. So River State had a slight competitive edge. River State had a slight competitive edge. But what gave us the biggest edge over Lagos, I would say, was that in 1999, Lagos State had the worst security situation in the entire country. There were incessant killings, robberies, daylight at all times in Lagos. It was so bad that every street in Lagos had a gate. And those gates were shut at 6 p.m. So whatever you were doing, you had to be home before 6. If you were not home at 6, and your wife would probably call you to find out where you were. If you found out that your girlfriend, she would say, oh, it's okay, stay there, sleep and come back in this morning. Your wife wanted you alive. How bad it was in Lagos in 1999. Today, that same Lagos State runs a 24-hour economy.
Is it not better to know?
And Lagos State is said to be the 5th largest economy in Africa. As Lagos as a state is said to be the 5th largest economy in Africa. Next, after South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. And so it will surprise you that Lagos State has an economy larger than that of Ghana, Togo, Ethiopia, Morocco, all of these countries. They run their budgets in trillions. And we are a shadow of ourselves. I'd like to give us an example, something that would drive home this comparison. In 2016, I and a few friends in our company, and some of our directors and past and present are also here, decided that we were going to build our own company house called the Platform House. So we bought some piece of land on Victoria Island, got the architects, and they came, did their beauty parade, and drew us some very beautiful designs. So we had to build 7 stories. And after that, we approached the building authorities in Lagos for the building permit to build. And the authorities came back to us to say that by Lagos state law, all the buildings on that stretch of road had to be a minimum 15 stories with 3 floors of parking. That's you either have underground parking or the first 3 floors of the building will have to be reserved purely for parking. So we went back to the drawing board and then came back and built 19 stories. But that's not the message here. The point here is that it tells you about the strength of the Lagos economy. That you came prepared to build 7 stories and they told you didn't qualify to build. Now keep in mind, he didn't qualify to be built in Lagos. Now if I want to build 7 stories anywhere in Port Harcourt, people will park their cars and they'll marvel and say, oh wow, that's something great. That's the contrast. And that's our reality today of 2 states that in 1999 were at par. And this is not to say that those who had come have not done their best. They really have done their best. And the we agenda, everybody is important, and we are not about to criticize anybody. Because indeed, they all give me their very best. But the point is, what's our vision for ourselves? Where do we seek to be? Where do we want to be? We have a very young, openly mobile population. The internet age. Even from the discomfort of their homes, they see pictures, images of the world that they want to connect with. They want that to be the reality. What are we doing to make that the reality? How can that be the reality? First of all, you have to grant them great education. In Rivers State in 2018, 34% of the school-age population was out of school. Now you have no greater responsibility as a government than to grow, develop the next generation. As a government, as a people, we have no greater responsibility than to grow the next generation. So if we say that the youths or young ones are our future, they are the future, then we must be prepared to make the necessary investments in that future. What investments are we making? We know that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. What are we doing to give our young ones the sort of education that they require? When I was growing up, I went to public schools. Almost all of us here went to public schools. At Government Comprehensive Secondary School, we were taught English language by an Englishman. And may his soul rest in peace. I hear he just died sometime last year. We were taught physics, biology, chemistry, and all of that by Pakistanis, by Indians, expatriates. In our public schools, those were our public schools. That was our reality. Today, that is the exclusive preserve of the rich. And so we must agree that the years from 1999 to now have been disastrous for opportunities, for equality. But I know that the task is enormous. But it depends on the sort of vision that you have for yourself. And so you are going to decide to vote for somebody on the ballot, not because you like that person, but because that person is a trusted vehicle towards the realization of your own vision for yourself. So unfortunately today, quality education is the exclusive preserve of the rich. And so the gap between the rich continues to widen. Whether we like it or not, it's a ticking time bomb, and something has to be done about it. Something has to be done about it. And that's why we engage ourselves in politics. They say war is politics with bloodshed. And politics is war without bloodshed. So we are engaged in the war without bloodshed. But war it is. War against poverty. War against illiteracy. War against hunger. War against joblessness. Even the war against hate. And if we fight these wars successfully, then the war against insecurity itself would have been won 90%. So we have to engage ourselves in that war without bloodshed. So our politics must not be bitter. And the process is that it's a game of numbers. And you have the numbers. Those of us who are active politicians in the different political parties are no more than 10% of the population of the state. So the power truly is in your hands. And your PVC, that piece of paper, is your power. You first will have to assess your PVCs and then prepare yourself to do the work that God says you have to do. It's something that we must do for ourselves. And very particularly now, today, in our dear state, when lives and properties are held by no greater tenure than the car price of a mob, when our laws are despised and disregarded, when our governments are showing a lack of both the will and the vision to provide opportunities for the governed, when our children are still illiterate and go to bed hungry, when our fathers go infirm due to premature aging, when our mothers still go 6 feet down at childbirth, and when every mother knows of yet another mother who had just lost a child, when our families are broken because breadwinners can no longer find bread to win home, when our people are locked in the gloom of the tents they call homes and trapped in the quagmire of poverty set by their leaders, when our very own young men, boys and girls, young men and women, have found themselves in a sandwich generation, too old today to be something and too old tomorrow to be anything. And they have become destitute. And now a lot of our streets and our nights, we cannot but come together, one with the other, as a collective, as people of a common destiny, to begin the process of healing and building. And in this assignment, we cannot afford to be deficient in those tiny details that make up the chains of the people's happiness. That's where we are. And we must be driven by our convictions and not by our fears. We have to be driven by our convictions, not by our fears. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is simply fear that has said its prayers. Courage is not the absence of fear at all. And I can tell you, courage is contagious. Once a brave man sets out to do something, the spines of others is stiffened. What are our convictions? This beautiful state that worked well for all of us, are we happy that it cannot work for our children? If I, the son of a truck pusher, can today say I want to be governor of Rivers State, why won't that be the reality of everybody else in Rivers State? That's what societies are for. That's what governments must do. And whatever we have to do to inconvenience ourselves, we have to do that. that I be that person that you vote for. And the reason you should vote for me is not because you like my face. Some people say, oh, well, he's a good man, he's a philanthropist. No, that's not enough. You have to ask yourself whether or not I am capable of building the institutions of state. Whether I am capable of growing the economy to accommodate all of us. And whether I have the disposition to create opportunities for everybody. It shall no longer matter in what political party you are. It shall only matter that you are a law-abiding resident of Rivers State. We shall take the best in all of us. Rivers State has just been about the monocultural economy. We will have to change all of that. No, because that is, it's happening. So you have to prepare yourself for your time in a world and an economy beyond oil and gas. And it will shock all of us that in the 19th century, when the British ran to Rivers State, they came here to Rivers State because of oil. But it wasn't oil and gas. It was palm oil and kernel. In the 19th century, when the British ran to rivers, and then they named this place the Oil Rivers Protectorate. It wasn't the Oil Rivers Protectorate because of oil and gas. Oil was only found in 1956 at LULU first. So in the 19th century, when the British came to Rivers State and named this place the Oil Rivers Protectorate, it was because of palm oil and kernel, which was 40% of the economy of the entire nation at the time. So today, with over 200 and almost 300,000 hectares of arable land in Rivers State, what are we doing? Even with our pollution and all that, we still have 270 different species of fish. There's a whole lot to be done. And we can go on and on and on and on. But we must know that it's a collective responsibility. And that we need to begin a conversation in our state about the sort of future that we envision and the sort of future that we want. So in our churches, and I'm happy that our clergy are here, it's not for them to say they should go and vote for A or to vote for B, but to ask everybody to go out and register. Ask their congregation to go out and register. And to go out and vote. And to ensure that the votes count. So we are the We agenda. We are putting people first.
We agenda! We agenda!
So everywhere, let us begin a statewide conversation of the We agenda, of that collective called We. I was in America when someone said, oh, well, that in Nigeria we have a government of the people, by the people, and against the people. We don't want a government that is against the people. So if that should be our reality, then we have to do something differently. We can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. If you don't like the crop you're reaping, you have to change the seed you're sowing. And it is in all of you. It's not impossible. Impossibility is an opinion, not a fact. Muhammad Ali said impossibility is just a big word thrown around by small men who are comfortable living the lives that have been created for them, rather than use the power they have in themselves to create their own future. We have to use the power we have in ourselves to create our own future. We must have that state that we used to have. We must rebuild our public institutions and give the children of the poor a fair chance to also succeed in this race of life. Yes, we'll have to do that. And it is something that must be done. Even if it is the first, the last, and the only thing you do, it's something that you have to do. It's something that we have to do. Our lives must be like the course of the sun. Even the darkest moments must bear the promise of daylight. We need to get there. So as you go home, take these messages that we are tired. Our people have had no variety in their lives, just the vanities of their leaders which they have had to endure. And that has become exceedingly distasteful. And if we don't do the things that we have to do, I am afraid that in the backward glance of history, they may stand as eternal monuments against us. So please, my good friends who are here, the clergy or traditional rulers, we're all complete here. Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, young people, it's time to mobilize the human spirit. The greatest weapon in the world is the human spirit on fire, is the human soul on fire. I seek to set your souls on fire. On fire to find the courage to do that which is right. To give to yourself the future that you deserve. Rivers State is blessed. Rivers State is the biggest, is the most beautiful, the most magnificent place put together by God and gifted to man. It's the best in the African continent, I must tell you. And Rivers State is capable of a great destiny. So it is time for us to awake Rivers State from our slumber. And begin to prepare her for that destiny that she's capable of. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. But it can be done. And we can do it. So my prayer is that may the Lord of our weary years silent tears. Lift our hearts to the challenges of this present moment. So help us God. Just press us back.